You sit in a conversation where two people talk about childhood like they grew up on different planets. One says, "We played outside and nobody could reach us." The other says, "I grew up online." Both sound sure. And you feel that quiet tension because you remember both. You remember the phone that stayed in the kitchen. You remember the first time you held a device that meant you were reachable all day. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, people still don't know where to place you. Some call you late Gen X. Others fold you into millennials because your 20s lined up with early social media. In the 2000s, some researchers started using a microgeneration label because the window was small and the context was intense. The label isn't the point, the timing is. You grew up in an analog rhythm, you waited for things, you memorized phone numbers, you made plans without live updates, you missed TV episodes, and you moved on. When you got bored, you stared at the wall, went outside, or found something to do. Then adulthood hit and the world turned digital fast. Not a slow slide. A hard shift in the rules of daily life. You remember the in-between stage too? You used cassette tapes, then burned CDs, then carried an iPod. You rented movies on VHS, then bought DVDs, then opened a streaming menu that never ends. You wrote papers in a computer lab, saved them on a floppy disk, then on a USB drive, then in a cloud folder. You printed MapQuest directions and kept the pages in the car. Later, you watched GPS erase the need to plan a route at all. Each step felt normal in the moment. Looking back, it was constant adaptation layered on top of growing up. And this is the trigger for you. You keep ending up in mixed-age rooms where people talk past each other. Older people treat tech like a threat to privacy and common sense. Younger people treat it like air. You sit in the middle and you start translating without being asked. You explain the app to the older group. You explain the older group to the younger one. You do it so the room keeps working. Inside, you feel two reactions at once. You feel capable because you can keep up. You also feel unseen because nobody thanks the person who keeps things running. People treat your skill like a basic utility, so you tell yourself you don't need recognition. And after a while, you start believing it. Your timing helped too. Development research shows the prefrontal cortex, the part tied to planning, flexibility, and learning complex skills, keeps maturing well into your 20s. You hit the digital shift during years when your brain's still rewired fast. You were old enough to remember what came before. You were young enough to learn the new world without feeling lost in it. You also learned the social rules in real time. You watched email replace phone calls. Then texting replaced email with friends. Then group chats replaced texting. Then short video pushed out long posts. Each wave changed what people expected from you. Response time shrank. Availability started to look like a moral signal. You adapted, but part of you still treats silence as neutral, not as disrespect. This gives you a rare mix of instincts. You can stay present in a face-to-face conversation because you trained attention before phones competed for it. You can also pick up new tools without that "I'm too old for this" freeze, because you learned tech when it still felt like something you explored, not something that judged you. Trust works the same way for you. As a teen, plans meant something. You met at the place at the time, and you waited. You didn't have 10 messages to manage the uncertainty. You learned commitment as behavior, not as a text bubble. Later, you watch people shift into constant coordination and instant updates. You adapted, but you still feel the old meaning of a promise in your body. You notice when someone treats a plan like a suggestion. Privacy is split too. You grew up in a world where your worst moments faded. There wasn't a permanent archive of your awkward phase, your first heartbreak, your dumb party story. People took photos, but a camera wasn't in every hand. A lot of your past stayed as memory and story, not as searchable evidence. Memory research suggests autobiographical memory stays fluid. Your brain edits. It keeps what matters and lets the rest blur. When everything gets documented, that natural editing gets interrupted. Younger people often meet their past through old posts. Older people met their past through internal memory. You live between those systems. You post enough to participate, but you hold back more than most because you remember what it felt like to have a life that wasn't recorded by default. This shapes your relationship with identity too. You get self-expression online, and you still distrust the performance part. You watch social media shift from fun profiles to personal branding. You know how easy it is to turn a personality into content, then feel stuck living up to it. So you keep parts of yourself offline. You don't need to announce every phase to make it real. Then comes the part that shaped your nervous system, not your label. Many Xennials entered the job market around the 2008 financial crisis. You tried to build stability and timing worked against you. You watched layoffs, you watched debt, you watched friends move back home and delay major milestones. Early career instability can leave a long shadow. Even if things improve later, your brain keeps the lesson. Systems can fail, safety can disappear. So you prepare. You keep backup plans, you pause before big risks, you track your money. You stay in a steady job longer than you want, because part of you still expects things to collapse again. People call it caution. It's also memory. Now put the tech shift and the economic hit in the same person. You become adaptable because you had to. You also become vigilant because the transition came with real losses. This becomes your core pattern. You turn into a switcher. You code switch between generations, workplaces, and social rules. You talk to an older manager and match their style. You talk to a younger teammate and match theirs. You help your parents with two-factor authentication, and you still get why your younger coworker lives in group chats. You call it social skill. You also use it to avoid friction, and the world rewards it. People lean on you because you make things smoother. They ask you to translate feedback. They ask you to explain new tools. They ask you to calm conflicts between old school and new school. You become the reliable one who can operate in both worlds. That reinforcement builds another habit. You start noticing needs before anyone asks. You fix things early. You keep your life organized. You remember passwords. You read the fine print. You don't wait for someone to save you, because childhood taught you self-reliance, and early adulthood taught you that institutions don't always show up. Over time, you squeeze emotion into performance. You don't say you feel anxious, you say you're busy. You don't say you feel stuck, you say you're fine. You learn to handle discomfort without an audience. That skill helps you. It also makes you harder to see. Then, the consequence shows up. Being the translator can make you feel like you belong nowhere. You're too young for some nostalgia and too old for some trends. You can relate to both, but neither side fully claims you. People still try to put you in a box because boxes are easy. When you don't fit, you start questioning your place, even though the mismatch comes from the labels, not from you. You see it in how you handle nostalgia too. You don't romanticize the past like some older people, because you remember the inconvenience. You also don't worship the present like some younger people, because you remember what got traded away. You remember being unreachable without guilt. You remember waiting without panic. You remember doing one thing at a time. So you carry gains and losses together. You gained access, speed, and information. You lost automatic boundaries around attention. You gained connection. You lost the ease of being alone with your thoughts. You gained choice. You lost some of the patience that friction and delay used to build. That tension sits in your daily habits. You can ignore notifications because you grew up before instant replies were expected. At the same time, silence gets interpreted now. So you negotiate between two social contracts. You reply fast when it matters. You disconnect when you need to. And you still feel the pull. Another consequence is fatigue from constant adjustment. You keep adapting to new platforms, new work norms, new social expectations. You don't fear change, but you don't enjoy getting dragged by it either. You start craving stability, and then you feel guilty for wanting it because you grew up believing you should handle everything alone. Then the realization hits. Your strength isn't the label. Your strength is that you learn to adapt without losing yourself to whatever room you're in. You can hold contradictions without spiraling. You can use modern tools without worshiping them. You can value old skills without turning them into your whole identity. But you have to choose this on purpose. If you don't, people will keep assigning you the default role: fixer, mediator, stabilizer. They'll praise how capable you are, and then they'll hand you more weight. You start seeing it in relationships too. People lean on you because you look steady. You become the one who remembers birthdays, handles logistics, and keeps the group moving. You don't hate responsibility, but you get tired of carrying it by default. And when you finally say no, people act shocked, like reliability was your personality instead of your choice. You're trained for transition. You already lived through a massive shift. You learned the world you grew up in doesn't stay forever. That lesson matters, and it comes with a cost. You remember what got lost, and you know how to operate in what replaced it. If this hits something in you, pay attention to what felt familiar. The quiet loneliness of being between groups, the pride of being capable, the fatigue of always being the one who adapts. Then do one small thing that proves you're not a translator by default. Pick a boundary. Pick one slower moment. Pick a tool because it serves you, not because it's loud. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. I've got more topics lined up that connect to the same patterns. I'll see you in the next one.